Good afternoon, guys, wherever you are. Good morning or good evening. This is Dr. Rod, the Addiction Doctor, and this is Breaking Through Addiction. My co-host, as usual, is the beautiful Kristen Nolan. Hey, Chris, what's going on?
Not much. What's up with you?
Well, I go in hospital on Monday, that's for sure. So I've been getting nervous over the last day or two. So apart from the week, which has been sunny and beautiful here live in San Antonio, I don't think there's a lot going on. Busy at work, busy at play. So yeah, lots of sunshine and pool. We have a crazy backyard. Some of you guys out there will know because I said y'all then instead of you all. I've been around to the house and seen it. So yeah, just playing with the dogs. What about you? How's your week?
Nice. It was really good. I decided to go full force into my program this week. I've really been dedicating. I feel myself kind of, not as strong as I should be. So I've been, going full force into my program this week, and I feel so much better.
Nice. It's really, really, really important, guys, that we work on ourselves. I see so many people in the industry that are broken themselves trying to work with other people. And then I get people first starting the journey and it just races away with you. You've got to go back and do your own work. You've got to make sure that you're in a great place to carry this burden, because whether you be a host on a radio show, a podcast show, or TV, or a doctor, whatever it may be, if you don't take care of yourself, it will catch up to you, and these little things that we need every single day. If you don't do strictly your routine, then you're going to fall off, because we're complacent people. We forget sometimes what it's really like, or how bad it was, or the depression, or whatever it is. We jump back into that position real easy. So you've got to be careful. So this is Breaking Through Addiction, guys. It's the show that asks questions that you're only thinking. Every Friday at noon, CST, jump on my Facebook page and you'll see it live. There's also, if you look at my Facebook page or Chris's, there's also a link there to the actual Breaking Through Addiction Facebook page itself, where you'll be able to see all the live shows about 5 minutes after we finish. They'll be straight on there. But if you're not a friend of mine, friend request me, and you'll be able to see the show. Or Kristen, look for Kristen Nolan, and you'll be able to friend us, and we can go forward. So yeah, that's about it, really. Well, that's all for this week. We'll see you tomorrow. No, I'm only joking. Okay, so I know what everyone's thinking at home. Who have we got on the show today? Well, usually we have two guests on the show. But this week, my good friend dropped out at the last minute. Unfortunately, he can't be here. He's traveling. But we got Katie Perez on the show. Now, I got to tell you, first of all, before we bring her on, that we started a new 12-step group over in San Antonio, and it was for people who have recovered or want to recover. It's not a chat place. It's not a meeting girls or guys place. It's a down, hard book study followed by aggressive meeting where we can teach and educate people. So I first met Katie there, and I didn't know too much about her, but then I heard a story, and the story was, well, I've heard lots of stories, as everyone knows, but this one was quite touching. It was quite, I don't know, it was sobering, pardon the pun, but it was very sobering of each individual journey that we go through. Is horrible. I always say to people, this is the worst story and the best story you're ever going to hear, because it's my story, and the same with yours. So quick break, guys. We're going to come back. Katie Perez is on the show. Stick by for a couple of seconds. Welcome back, guys. My name is Dr. Rod, the Addiction Doctor, along with Kristen Nolan. This is Breaking Through Addiction, the weekly show every Friday at 12. And our special guest this week is Katie Perez. Katie, how you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. I'll start with the first question, Chris, because I'm dying to know. First of all, before I do, tell everybody who you are, Katie, and what you're all about.
My name's Katie Perez, and my sobriety date is 9/13 of 2020. I'm a recovered alcoholic. I stress that word, recovered, from a hopeless state of mind and body.
What does recovered mean, Katie?
my sanity has been restored.
Correct. Yeah.
I have had a spiritual experience. The obsession has been removed. Body, mind, and spirit have been lifted and given to my higher power.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So let's go back. Why don't we start at the beginning and find out exactly what went on with you? Because we all have that defining moment. Mine when I was 9. But we have the defining moment. We take that first drink, and it's kind of different than everybody else describes it. As in, oh, it was horrible. Mine wasn't horrible. Was yours?
I was in the 80s. Like, I remember, like, my parents would let me have sips of their beer, and I'd be like, "That's gross." And they would let me drive behind the steering wheel, and nothing ever. The only thing that I can pinpoint anything was like in high school, my first party, and remember feeling like after one beer, like, wow, this is weird in a good way. But I remember I was so worried about, oh my God, my parents are going to flip out. How do I, I get away from this? But I came from a long line of alcoholics. And I was even raised being told, be very careful. This is a disease of our family, and that didn't really resonate with me. And I'm like, oh, whatever. Because it didn't affect me directly, only, hearsay from family members that I didn't even know. And then I just kept go to college, drink. I just started to learn that, like, I didn't need a reason to drink. I would, I could do anything. Oh, clean the house, drink. Everything revolved around, I didn't even need an excuse anymore. I guess the most interesting part is so a year ago, I had completely stopped taking care of myself, just like you had mentioned earlier. Totally stopped taking care of myself. Didn't care. Didn't realize how far I had gotten in not taking care of myself. And I was used to just drinking all day long. And enough had been enough. And like a week before I went into my first AA meeting, I had paralysis. I could not feel my hand. I could not write with my right hand. I couldn't move my right hand, and it scared the living shit out of me. Sorry. No,
that's fine. That's fine.
No, it scared me to death. But what did I do? I drank more because it's like, you just have the jitters, you have the shakes or whatever. And so that went on for a couple of days. I couldn't fill out my daughter's, high school papers, their admin, because it was a brand new school year. I couldn't do that. And I remember like a week later, it was just getting worse and worse and worse. And I type for like that's my job. I have to type all day long. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, you have to go to the doctor. And then like, what are you going to tell the doctor? There's no excuse for this other than the fact that it's obvious that you've been drinking. Didn't want to face that fact. And I was like, fuck it. I'm going to drink water all day today. I've got this. I've done a lot of dry Januaries, my New Year's resolutions, do dry Januaries. And, in the past couple of years, I've been okay with that. That day that I decided, like, I'm done, I was folding clothes in my closet, like putting away laundry, and I fall over, seize out, stop breathing, convulsions. My kids had to call paramedics. And so I was taken to the hospital on a Wednesday night. I think it was a Wednesday night. It was the 9th. Yeah. On a Wednesday night. And I did medical detox for the next 4 days, which I'm fortunate that I was able to go to a hospital and do that. But I ended with all the tests that were done. My labs were all fucked up. My liver was pretty jacked up. I was diagnosed with acute hepatic encephalopathy, which was brought on primarily not by cirrhosis, but by dehydration. I was so dehydrated. And so I did, medical detox there, and no one could visit me for a long time because it was COVID. And so I just had a lot of time to think about, what the fuck have you done with your life? Like, oh my God, like the shit's hit the fan, cat's out of the bag. What do I do? Like, and at that point, I was like, holy crap, I could have died. I've been diagnosed with brain atrophy, slight brain atrophy, peripheral neuropathy, brought on by alcoholism. Just like stuff that shouldn't be happening to me at this age. And so I was there for 4 days, and I remember a couple of nurses, they were like, are you okay? Or, it was my friggin' primary care doctor's husband, who was the ER physician that tended to me. And so he let her know, and she was like, oh my God, she's the one who lost her daughter. And that's the thing. A lot of people thought that this was brought on by losing my child. This stemmed for years. It was exacerbated, absolutely. But this did not stem from Hallie dying. This was in the works for a very long time. And I actually kind of was, when that happened, like, it made it worse because it's like, oh, people think that I have an excuse. I have an excuse, just to keep going and keep going and keep going. And it finally caught up with me. And I mean, I could not go 12 hours without having a drink, without seizing out. And that's very, very scary. Very, very scary.
That's crazy. Go on, Chris. Sorry.
I'm sorry?
Go on, Chris. She was going to ask a question.
Oh, good. No, go.
Katie, you mentioned that this is a little bit different than most stories that we hear. You did mention that your parents told you. They said, we have a long history of alcoholism, so watch out. Yep. Was there ever a time in your active addiction where those words played back at you, and where you realized that this was what your parents were telling you about?
Yeah, 100%. It was several years, and it was my uncle. He's my maternal uncle, and he died a very lonely, painful death all by himself. Nobody found him for 5 days, only because of the smell in his trailer where he was living, and the mail was piling up. But he died an alcoholic, and he had relapsed and relapsed and relapsed and would get better and relapse. He just had a history of relapsing. And oh my God, like, I just remember that thinking, oh my God, especially when I was in the hospital, that brought that back. And I'm like, oh, like, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to, number one, I don't want my kids to have to call 911 ever again on me. No kid should do that. But to think like he died completely alone, and in all honesty, nobody gave a shit about him when he died. Nobody cared. And I remember thinking, like, after losing my own child, like, oh my God, I just can't believe my family did this. And, but everybody was like, that's his choice. This is what he did. This is what happened. But I mean, again, since I've been out of the hospital, I mean, I haven't relapsed or anything like that, but oh my God, I just can't even fathom dying alone and like people only finding my body because of the smell or mail buildup.
It's crazy. Absolutely. Wow. Katie Perez on the show, guys. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the show, guys. My name is Dr. Rob Kelly, the addiction doctor, along with Kristen Nolan. We have Katie Perez as our special guest. Katie, I'm going to go to a place where people just text me, they don't even know you. Well, I don't think they know you. They're not from our group, kind of thing. But can you tell us what happened with your daughter and the actual event and how you've coped with that?
Well, my daughter was 18 when she passed away in a horrible car accident. And when she passed away, she had a 3-month-old baby whom we have since adopted. So I mean, our relationship was just kind of back and forth all the time. She went with her dad. You know, if she didn't like my rules at the time, she would go with her dad. She didn't like his rules, she'd come back to me. So we did a lot of back and forth. But what really upsets me is like right before she died, like our relationship was like between us was starting to get really good. My only regret is I wish, well, and I know she can see me. So, and I know she's here in spirit and I know she's in my heart. But I know she would be proud of what I'm doing and, you know, how I dealt with it. It wasn't good at first because I use it as an outlet. I was not expecting to start over, you know, her sisters are older and here we are, baby. Like, I'm like, oh my God, what do you do with a baby boy? You know? But yeah, so she passed away. And we've been raising him ever since. And I know the sad thing is there's a lot of memories. My son, I call him my son. I don't even remember because I have to say that out loud because that's the significance of how bad my problem was. I don't remember certain milestones. You know what I mean? Because I was too busy. That's all I cared about was alcohol. Just, you know, my entire life was designed by alcohol. And I kind of, when I've described it in our meetings before, it's almost like what you see in the movie, like you're sitting on a couch and life is just spinning around you and you're just sitting there in slow motion with your wine. Everything's going good. People are coming and going. They're talking to you and that's all you care about, you know? So I'm glad he's young enough to where obviously he doesn't remember anything. But I also think about all the damage I could have caused other people, you know, the lives I've hurt, the lives I could have affected drastically, dramatically. It's very, very scary.
Katie, I'm so sorry to hear about your daughter. And without a doubt, she is extremely proud of you right now.
Yeah.
And thank God you guys were getting, could you imagine if you guys weren't okay at the moment, you know? So that was just, thank goodness for that. I wanted to ask you, once you got out of the hospital, what did you do immediately after that?
So I got out on a Saturday night at like 11 o'clock at night and I slept all day on Sunday. And my sister, she was like the sorter of my affairs and she had done all my FMLA paperwork. She was like, you're going to go to rehab. And at that point I was at anybody's mercy. I'm like, I will do whatever it takes. You tell me where to go, I'll go. I'll do anything. You know, I was just in such a bad spot, but my family came and they were like, she cannot be away from Alec. Alec, she needs to be with him. So that Monday, I walked into my very first meeting and I hated it. I didn't like the group. It was the closest one to my house. I found it on the AA app. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to appease everybody. I'm going to go. And I went and I remember this grumpy old man sitting outside and he was like, the best thing you could do for yourself is to come back tomorrow. And I was like, okay. So then I came back on Tuesday, the next day, and there was a bunch more people that now like I am familiar with. One of them was my sponsor and it was really cool because I am new to AA. It was nothing like the movies. It was not like the TV shows. And at the end of the day, they were like, does anybody have a birthday? And it really was my belly button birthday. It was like my birthday. And they were like, do you have any birthdays? And I was like, me. And they were like, this is not your birthday. And I was like, huh? I didn't even know. Exactly. It was so embarrassing. So embarrassing. But I left that night and with a sponsor, and I met who now is like my people that I see all the time during the week, and met at Las Palapas, and they just, apparently I looked hopeless, which I know I felt hopeless. And I'm just so glad that I went to that second meeting. I would not be where I am today had I just been like, whatever. But yeah, when I was told that you can actually recover from this shit is what I was told. I don't know. I didn't feel like this dirty person. I didn't feel like, oh my God, this is my life. I'm sitting in a room with a bunch of old grody men who hate their lives. It was just uplifting, and it's like, okay, there's more to this than I actually think, and it's more to this than on the surface. And learning about the disease, there's a science to it, thanks to Dr. Rob, that it was just, you don't have to be ashamed. I didn't feel like I had to be ashamed anymore, and I was so freaking ashamed. Like I was the kind of person that on the outside looking in, everything was all hunky dory. I mean, I had it together. I always had alcohol in me. You didn't know that, but I knew that. It was a completely different way of life. And it took me a while to get used to the fact that you don't have to hide a secret. Oh my God, you're not hiding anything. And, I was constantly hypervigilant, almost, so to speak, hypervigilant on, like, did I leave this there? Is he going to find this? It's like, no, wow, there's nothing there. Oh my God. It was a good life change. Obviously it's been amazing, but it took a while to be able to relax in the comfort of honesty. That was the weird part. It's like, you don't have to, I never realized how much stress my body was like I was creating for myself by my lifestyle,
Yeah, we don't know. It's just, it piles up and piles up, and all of a sudden
you get used to it.
You do.
I got so used to it that when everything is cool, calm, and collected, it's like, ooh, it's almost like PTSD. You're just, and I don't like to use that word lightly, but you're just hyper vigilant, constantly like, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble. He's going to find this, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was just a completely different way of life. I mean, it went from like 200 miles an hour, stress wise, not being able to stay in my own lane, to being able, it just got used to be able to relax and be like, you're not doing anything wrong right now. And that felt really good. You're not doing anything wrong. You can actually watch TV and not, you don't have anything bad in your cup. You don't have
it takes some getting used to, that's for sure.
Yes.
So tell me, what's the worst time in your past, and then the best time in your recovery?
The worst time in my recovery?
The worst time in your drinking.
Oh, and
best time in your recovery.
I guess it just, that's when when my daughter passed away, like it just went from 100 miles an hour to 200 miles an hour. So it just went downhill from there. The best part of recovery has just, and I love how you say recovery, is knowing that you can. And this is my thing, is now that I've experienced what I consider the worst thing of my life, losing my child, and not being able to deal with it in a healthy way, I have the toolkits now from our group, from the Big Book, from AA, to be able to like the next time life hits the fan, shit gets really bad, something horrible happens, I will be able to handle it without practically killing myself. I will be able to handle it. That's going to be the best thing. I mean, nothing horrible has happened, so I'm good. I'm grateful for that. But I know now, like, I will be okay. At the end of the day, I will be okay. I will not drink myself into an oblivion. I won't be passed out in a closet. My kids will not be calling 911. I'll have people to call. I know people, good people. And I have the spiritual toolkit, other than, well, in addition to my big book. I'll be able to handle it. It'll suck, but I will be able to handle it, because I've heard other people like, oh my gosh, my mom died and I didn't drink today. It's like, I want to be able to say I didn't drink today, because that shouldn't be our go-to. It's not going to be my go-to anymore. Everything was my every problem in life was my go-to to drinking. So I'm very grateful. That's my biggest thing, is knowing that whatever life comes my way, or whatever comes my way in life, and I can do it sober.
That's beautiful, Katie. That's so beautiful. I love hearing you. I just love hearing you speak about recovery. And I love that we have a guest that's just one of us in recovery today, just breaking down what their story looked like. And, just a normal person now having a year of sobriety and in recovery. It's just beautiful. It's so funny when you talk about the closets, because for me, that was huge, the closet. I came to the conclusion in my active addiction that skeletons in my closet means empty bottles, because they were the shell of what it used to be. And I had lots of skeletons in my closet.
Oh, I had every kind of bottle and skeleton in my closet. And I guess the irony in it is, like, that's where I fell over. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't live there anymore. We've since moved, but yeah, it's crazy to think, like, where most of my self-pity and everything that I did to myself happened there, because it was just out of, it was easier for me to be in there. And that's where I almost died. So it's just crazy.
Well, what a life now, though. What a fantastic life.
Oh, yeah.
And now I've watched you come into the rooms and just expand and move forward. And that's what it's about. There's a couple of guys come in that I see miracles every day with what I do for a living. Mm-hmm. So it's nothing new to me. It just never gets old for me when somebody, approaches who's really sick and distorted brain and pathways. And all of a sudden they do the work and they have this amazing life. And I always say I never have bad days, but I do have better days than others. That's for sure. So if there's a message, because we're coming to the end of the program, Katie, if there was a message that you're going to give somebody who's sat at home in your situation that you was in, what would be the first piece of advice you'd give them?
Well, it's kind of weird, because I've been asked that before, and it's hard for me to answer that, because I was kind of forced into this program, so to speak, by having my situation, going to the hospital, realizing I had to tell anybody, you need to surround yourself with like-minded people. If you're, and I wasn't surrounding myself. I mean, I surround my whole entire, like, everybody I knew, that's what they did. But I guess like-minded people, surrounding yourself, you gotta have a good group of people around you. And that's another hard thing to answer, because you don't know you need like-minded people. It's almost like you don't know until something horrible happens. So basically, okay, I just answered my own question. Don't let it get to the point where something horrible happens. You know, there's so many ways to get help anonymously. You know, you just have to be brave. You have to be brave. You have to step out of your comfort zone. You have to be vulnerable. All the things that people hate. But
Kristen,
for me,
one more question.
Yeah.
Kristen, one more question.
Okay. I just wanted to know, so now that you are in a fellowship and you have a program, what are the three major, because we're all about principles, right? So what are the three major principles that you live by in your life today?
God is first and foremost, period. I live by the book, and I just want to carry the message to other people. So,
I love that.
Yeah, in order to carry the message, I have to stick to the book. It's all in the book. Nobody can get mad at me. I can be like, it's right here.
Exactly.
You can't argue with black and white.
One more question I'm intrigued with. If you could go back to being 10 years old, what would you tell yourself about the future?
Oh my God.
Knowing what you know now.
Knowing what I know now. I needed, I lacked confidence and assertiveness. I had to be confident and assertiveness. That would have changed the whole trajectory of life. You know, looking back, I was always I'll do whatever you tell me to do type person. I had a horrible problem saying no. So looking back, those would be the best words of advice I could give myself. Like, just say no.
Wow.
Be assertive.
Yep.
You know, to say no. So
someone once told me that yes or no is a full enough answer. And I quite like that because I was always making excuses. Hey, Rob, can you go here next week? No, but let me tell you why. You know, my uncle's no, but thank you for asking. You know, It took a long time. And the other one as well. Hey, I like that T-shirt you have on. It's just something to throw on. You still got a name tag on the price tag. You must have just bought it. And now it's thank you. It's really, really hard. And
interesting that you said that was one thing I actually wanted to talk about is like this, my whole year at first, I considered it such a huge embarrassment, it's an accomplishment now, but I had a horrible time being able to say thanks when people were like, oh my God, you've done so well. Because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you shouldn't have fucking been here in the first place. This is not normal, but I've learned to be able to say thank you. But that goes way back to my childhood, not being able to be assertive or, say no. So for me to say thank you is like off the table. But I feel better being able to do that. And it is a big deal. This is a big deal. It is a big deal. And it should be.
And I think that people duff it down a little bit. Well, it's not that much of a big. If you survive alcoholism and addiction, it's a big deal. If you are working on yourself, it's a big deal. If you are trying to better yourself in life, it's a big deal. What's not a big deal, like you just said, Katie, is I often get it with the dads. It's like, oh, I keep doing it. I do all this work, and the wife doesn't say thanks, and the kids don't. You're supposed to be fucking sober. You're a dad. Yeah. You don't get any gift for this. You don't get any prizes or certificates saying good dad of the year.
No, you didn't. Yeah, exactly. You didn't beat a battle of cancer. Like this is, you don't get a homecoming party for, oh my God, I feel, that's what is very interesting. It's like, but it is a big deal. It's a big deal when you look at the grand scheme of your life, who it affected, how you can go affect other people.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Katie Perez was on the show. Thank you so much, Katie. A couple of notes before we let you go. First of all, thank you for being you. You don't know how many lives you affect. Thank you for what you do at the group. Every time you come in, people have to help you with the car, with all the goodies that you bring. People really appreciate that. And we don't tell each other stuff. That's my biggest bugbear is when, somebody does something or they try and thank him. It happened last week. Well, I want to thank, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get his ego. It's like, shut up. Just thank him for God. Why is it so embarrassing these days? Say thank you. You're amazing. You know, let's start lifting each other instead of drawing ourselves down. So thank you, Katie. We'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow. No doubt at all. And hey, guys, we'll be right back to close the show.
Nice meeting you.
After this.
Nice to meet you, Katie. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for having me.
It's Breaking Through Addiction, guys. My name is Dr. Rob, the Addiction Doctor, along with Kristen. I kind of cut Katie off then. I'm sorry, Katie, you're still hearing. I kind of almost clicked the button, but that was good. I enjoyed that. Kristen, did you?
Absolutely. Yeah. I just love the stories that remind us of where we started off and just who we are. We are just people, in recovery and, just growing and becoming better. And that's exactly what she's doing. She's just an awesome, wonderful woman. You can tell.
I know. It's beautiful. Absolutely. Breaking Through Addiction every Friday around noon, guys. Sometimes we might be a few minutes late. Technical problems today. It was 10 after 12 when we came on, but noon central is usually on myself's Facebook. Chris, after the show, and myself is going to be up to the Facebook page, Breaking Through Addiction, the radio and podcast show. So tune in every week. If you want to be a guest, you can contact myself or Kristen, and we'll get you on the show. This is not only about, famous people who come on. This is also about the average person. I love what Kristen said before. It's like, I love hearing normal people who go through our normal problems and come out the other end, living. And it's just absolutely amazing. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next Friday at noon or not. Rob goes into the hospital on Monday, so we'll see how it goes. No doubt Kristen will be here, and I'll leave Kristen to take us out.
Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.